What's Really Going On. My name is Henry Woods.
I'm Noah Lyons.
And I'm Maya King.
All right.
And we are broadcasting live from
Sankofa.
Shout out to everybody who's here.
We appreciate y'all for coming out, supporting us.
Shout out to my mama.
Yeah, you got to shout out Mon Dudes. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at What's Really Going. Follow us on Twitter at _WRGL. Follow us on YouTube and subscribe on YouTube at What's Really Going On. Spotify, SoundCloud,
Apple Podcasts.
all of that. You know what I'm saying?
So since we have a special guest,
Yeah, you should give a self-introduction and then we'll proceed from there.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Maya King. I'm a reporting fellow at Politico where I cover campaigns and the 2020 election. I'm a recent Howard grad and a friend of the podcast.
awesome. All right, so
For those, since we actually have a live audience, I can actually not look at you the whole time. I can look at everybody else. So it's been a couple weeks since we recorded, since we're trying to get this together.
Just a
So
little
we're gonna
while,
talk about
just
a bunch of
little while.
stuff. Some stuff older than, some stuff new, some stuff old. The first thing I'll let you describe, since you're the one who put it in.
Yeah, so you guys probably heard about this. David Ledbetter, a senior in Charlotte, North Carolina. He used the Popeyes crave of like people being in these long lines. He did a great thing. He said, guys, I'm gonna hand out some ballots, get you guys registered to vote. That was a pretty cool thing he did. He's not new to like the service aspect. He actually founded his own organization. So it's one, it caught my attention to think like if he's thinking about this, then people who are actually eligible to vote, they're thinking about this, like being registered, making sure they're like know where their local polling places are and all that stuff. So
especially tying it to Popeye's chicken, since
It's-
everybody
you know
wants
what
to
I'm
sell
saying?
out. And to tie it to, I'm sure, work that you've done, since North Carolina, they basically don't let black people, they don't allow black people to vote. That's
Yeah,
right.
man, I mean, I don't know if they don't let black people vote, but the Democratic Party is really struggling down there right now trying to figure out how to get black people to vote, and they just poured a lot of money into this recent special election trying to increase black turnout, but again,
They like lost.
yeah,
by
they
just a
lost
little
by
bit,
a
but the
margin
yeah.
that could have been made up by a good number of black voters. But
See.
we have to be careful too with that because you don't want to blame black voters for
Right.
when white
When stuff goes
politicians
wrong.
lose or when
Look.
anything goes wrong, because then it becomes super problematic for us and it just sets us back even further. But fact of the matter is, we do mobilize and we make a major difference. So.
And we'll probably get into this later on when we talk about 2020 debate, but I was literally speaking to like one of my higher ups at my job about this, how like the defining people in the next upcoming election are rural Caucasian women, and then you have black young millennial voters. And those two parties are playing a major part in this next upcoming election. And like they're gonna be the defining factor on who actually wins that seat. So it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out because like the rural population, they can sway simply because Trump is promising them jobs and blah blah blah, but he directly attacked those same people when he's pushing out policies. So it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out.
So then next up, Walmart. I know we've been talking about, everybody obviously knows about the shootings that happened in, pick any, I feel like you can pick any city now,
Right,
El
recently,
Paso,
El
Dayton,
Paso.
this place, that
Yeah.
place. you
But
know.
this was like in a direct response
Right.
to El Paso, so that was pretty cool.
So Walmart, they ended the sales of handgun ammunition and asked customers not to carry guns in store. Still shocking that, I know you've talked about growing up in Georgia. I'm sure growing up in Florida that people have open carry.
Florida got it worse, man.
Open carry,
At
open
the
carry states.
McDonald's in line trying to get food, someone
Look,
got a gun sticking out.
So
Yeah.
Doug McMillan, he's the president and CEO of Walmart. He said, "We understand our heritage, our deeply rooted place in America, our influence as the world's largest retailer, and we understand the responsibility that comes with it. In a complex situation lacking a simple solution, we are trying to take constructive steps to reduce the risk that events like these will happen. The status quo is unacceptable." So does this mean that since Walmart's taking a step, does this mean that corporations are actually taking the steps that need to be, or is this just basically Walmart's doing something, Congress is not going to do anything?
Well,
It's
I
still
think
gonna be
that's
the same.
what it has come down to, honestly, because you have all these like elected representatives who trying to help my hopes and prayers go out to the family, and they do nothing about it. Where you have Walmart, who's a big corporation, they sell the gun, they realize their like responsibility within the situation, so they're trying to take action, and I commend them for that, honestly, because if it doesn't start with them, where's the conversation gonna start? You know. So yeah, I commend them for that.
And I'm sure that also gets to like the political pressure that was put on
Yeah.
companies, like because people were going after Walmart because they were actually like an available target. If you can't, Mitch McConnell's not going to do anything.
Yeah, he's just
It's above me.
right.
But I feel like isn't that probably what you would say, like we can't get at Congress, so we're just going to take shots at anybody who can maybe actually be impacted, or like
Yeah.
what do you think?
Well, I think first, gun violence is bad for business now, and a lot of CEOs realized that last week. Last week there was that letter written. I think it was signed by over 130 CEOs of several different corporations that were like, look, y'all have to take some kind of action on gun violence because now it's affecting our bottom line. It's sad that it took profit margins to move this forward a little bit, and I don't even know if that's going to do anything because this Walmart situation was so many years in the making, and we can't discount the organizing that had to be done to get this brought to attention for people like us who
The foundation had to be in
or
place.
maybe not
Yeah.
people like us because we already are in the news and we read about this every day, but there are a lot of people who don't even realize that
that it's an issue.
So I don't know. I'm happy that Walmart did this, but I'm always skeptical of whenever corporations try to take a humanitarian approach to things. I want to know what the driving force behind that is, and what they're going to do to try to make up for the money that they're likely going to lose off of this. And for those of us who come from southern states and understand, like, Walmart makes a pretty good amount of money off selling things like firearms. So I don't think Walmart sells automatic weapons though, do they?
I thought they did at one point.
I don't. To be honest, I don't know. I'm scared of guns. So like.
Me too. I'm so scared of guns.
My knowledge of guns are very, and it's crazy because as a black male, you kind of like want that protection a little bit just because of the craziness that's going on. But if you get that protection, then it puts a double, whatever.
Let you try to open carry.
Look, it's a double standard around that. So I guess I want to pose a question to the audience. Like, how do you guys feel about gun control? Like, what is your stance on these issues? Don't all speak at once,
Do we just yell or what?
Yeah,
Whatever
just
you
talk.
want,
We want it to be a conversation.
Okay. I too am scared of guns. And I think having automatic rifles in civilian hands is ludicrous. I don't see the point in having automatic rifles and guns.
I agree with you 100%. I always go back to like the UK. They don't have guns. Like the police don't carry guns. So if police can't carry guns, civilians can't carry guns. I personally feel like only military personnel should have guns. They're trained to carry guns, especially automatic weapons. But that goes back to the Second Amendment when we're granted that right in the Constitution. So all of that comes to play when you talk about guns in America,
I mean, quick question for you: is there any chance that Congress does anything? Like you talking to your people, your colleagues?
I need to talk to my friends on the Congress team to see what's new there. My head has been underwater with a lot of this 2020 stuff, but I know that it's a constant, it's an ongoing conversation. And of course, the big person in the middle of that would be Mitch McConnell. Because the big thing with him is, if you...
He's not doing anything as Trump doesn't.
Well, there's that, and then there's this idea of if you introduce gun legislation, what is he going to do? Filibuster it.
He's not introducing it. Yeah.
He's just going to do everything in his power to make sure that that doesn't go through.
And it's kind of sad, It's very sad. So we'll move on to the next topic. So Lil Nas X, he was on the HBO Unfiltered The Shop. During the shop, Kevin Hart, the comedian, he had a few exchanges with Lil Nas, and basically in this explanation of them going back and forth, Kevin Hart says he's gay, so what? And social media, Twitter took a negative response to that, feeling like he kind of gaslit him a little bit. Personally, I definitely think he did because they silenced. I watched the whole episode because I wanted to gain that full perspective. They silenced him after he was like, bro, come on now, acknowledge the fact that gay men have a hard time fitting into not only the black community but a community as a whole. It's hard for us. They kind of teach us to hate ourselves, and they silenced him after that. Like, he did not say anything after that, and I don't know if it was because he was uncomfortable. I don't know if it's because they didn't address him directly. They never said, Lil Nas X, what is your take on football? And they never said this. Right. So it was just interesting to see how that played out.
I have thoughts.
You do?
Yeah, and my heart goes out to Lil Nas X because it took courage for him to even say, okay, yes, I'll put myself in this position.
Right.
Because I am not a member of the LGBTQ community, but I am familiar with what an unsafe space the barbershop can be for gay men.
Right.
And so I think already putting him in that position, like he wasn't, I mean, okay, Kevin Hart, a month before.
And we'll go into that.
Saying like, what did he say? Like,
He
if my son were gay,
yeah,
I would
yeah.
bring a dollhouse over his head. So you want to invoke physical violence on your son
because he's homosexual.
It also gets into like the whole. I mean, he did withdraw. Remember, from the Oscars.
And I didn't understand that because like weeks later you go on this apology tour of how you're so sorry you didn't mean this. So what are your true feelings toward gay males? And that's why I have a problem with this specific statement, because he's kind of like, again, moving past the issues that Lil Nas X have to, like, he's putting his career on the line. At this point, people can either hate or love this man. He's putting himself on the line and exposing himself in a way that's like, I don't want to say unnatural, but it's uncomfortable because nobody wants to sit and have that conversation about their sexuality. I feel like
not in the barbershop, and
especially
that's what I'm saying. Like that's like
the
pinnacle, I think, of like exactly like heteronormative and just like very
supposed safe space, but
masculine.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, not only did Kevin Hart knew what he did, and he knew what he was doing when he was saying those things, and he didn't think that, you know, the backlash would be so strong, but that was manipulative. Mm-hmm. And everyone around him and Lil Nas X in the conversation is doing what? Staying silent. No one's coming to Lil Nas X's defense. And I'm not, you know what, he doesn't need anyone to come to his defense.
Exactly.
But there could have definitely been an opportunity for some demonstrated allyship.
Exactly.
And,
they didn't. I watched the episode. I don't feel like anybody in that barbershop was saying, "Hey, let me step in his shoes and understand."
Yeah.
They were more so saying, "Why should we understand, or why should we, have some type of empathy?"
And I think
that was irritating.
And I think this would be a good point to engage the audience that we have.
Oh yeah, so we go, me myself, like, I'm an openly sexual person. Like, I don't know what my sexuality is. One day I'm straight, the next day I'm gay. I don't know. So with this, I didn't take offense to it, but like, in our audience, we have some people who recognize with that community. Would you like to share?
Battery, what? So it's gonna be like, okay.
Or just anybody, like, what do you
okay, I'm sorry, I singled you out. I shouldn't have done that. Does anybody have any feelings?
So they didn't engage with him after he opened up?
No, they didn't. They kind of, I don't want to say they shunned him, but they did shut him down. They didn't address him anymore after he spoke his piece. They just kind of was like, oh, this guy's gay, moving on. That's literally what it was.
Or just kind of like, okay, cool, without kind of acknowledging.
Right.
That could have been a great opening for them to engage in really good conversation with him.
I agree.
Especially because he's a young person.
Right.
Younger than, I didn't see the interview, but I take it he's younger than a lot of the
He is,
things.
yes.
So they should have brought him in more as big brothers.
Exactly.
Say, you are. And they could have learned something. And especially when you are part of a marginalized community and you're marginalizing someone else even more, that's very sad.
Exactly.
Very sad.
I agree with you 100%.
I had a conversation yesterday with some Black Republicans who were telling me about. So they exist. There's like 5 of them, and they exist, and they are very strong in their beliefs. But what they were saying was the audience that they really want to get after is black men, and the way that they've started that process, or that I guess the vote that they want is the black male vote, because they know it carries the same weight as any vote.
Right.
But influentially, like thinking through like a Republican lens of like traditionalism and all that stuff, that was what we were going for. And they went around to the barbershops to have these conversations with men about what they'd like to see from a Trump presidency. And that tells me everything I need to know about the way barbershops operate and the kinds of conversations that are had in there and how dangerous those spaces can be. And I'm not saying that black Republicans are inherently dangerous, because
They are, and
they
I've
can
had
be,
this-
but there's not enough of them.
I've had this conversation with Noah specifically about black heterosexual males. How Trump and his ideologies.
It works.
It works.
And that's why, again, like thinking about Lil Nas X and the position that that young man was in, sitting in that barbershop, the setting already loads itself to exactly what happened here.
Right.
But what makes me the most upset is the way that Kevin Hart tried to pretend like he wasn't being
Yeah.
an asshole.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to curse on this?
They told us not to.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, we have a comment from Tyler. You want to say something?
Speak up.
Is it still okay for audience members?
Yeah, you're free to speak.
So I feel like Kevin Hart's like comment was really idiotic, and like Maya said, like he knew what he was doing. He knew it was stupid. I think what I appreciate more about the conversation being had about it is the dialogue about how uncomfortable of a space the barbershop is. I think that's something that needs to be highlighted and talked about to hopefully like stimulate change from like people who actually patron barbershops as well as people who like work in them, because that was the perfect like snippet of how uncomfortable those spaces are. I think there was also, like you guys said, a lot of politics involved with that, because Lil Nas X, like coming out at the time he did, was culturally like of large magnitude, and anything that occurs in culture impacts politics. And I think Kevin Hart's like immediate shutdown and rebuttal of that and diminishing of that was a political counter. And those types of things happen on really small scales in barbershops every day that also serve to like silence people whose voices are kind of needed for revolutionary acts. So I think there were a lot of dynamics that were at play in that conversation, and I'm happy that it's receiving a lot of negative backlash.
Appreciate you, Tyler. And I think that actually segues perfectly to the
Yeah.
next topic.
Show of hands. Does anyone watch the show Pose on FX? Shout out to y'all too.
Has anybody
Okay.
finished it? Season 2's ending was just...
No. All right, so Angelica Ross, she's actually supposed to host a forum on LGBTQ issues in Iowa next week, and I think that was just important because I think that oftentimes, and I'm sure you know, like when people host candidate forums, it's like, oh, we're going to talk about like gun control right after something crazy happens, or we're going to talk about climate change. It's like whatever kind of like the activist but also kind of establishment people want to kind of get out there. So I think it's just worth highlighting that like Angelica Ross is saying, like, I'm going to talk about this as a trans person. I'm going to bring this issue to light, even though they do have an openly gay candidate. They haven't talked about LGBTQ issues during debates. They haven't talked about the amount of trans men and women who are getting killed on what seems to me like a weekly basis. So I think that's just worth highlighting, and does it open the door, do you think, for other forums that have to do with issues that are affecting like us as people? Like, you know, when people talk about the labor movement, they also think about like the Midwestern working person in a factory, but they don't talk about like people like my mother. They don't think about like teachers. They don't think about like just regular people who are actually working and like what wage is, like people working at Popeyes. They don't talk about education, like all those other issues. So like, one, I want your thoughts on like just Angelica Ross just saying, screw it, I'm gonna do something myself, which is kind of very on brand for her.
And it's very on
Very
brand
on
for
brand.
this season. Like
Yeah.
it's definitely forum season, and there's a lot happening. Like I would love to see another HBCU forum. I felt like last week's debate performance was really lackluster for HBCUs and like conversation around Black issues. We
Which
can
is
get into
historic because
that.
they
We can
don't
definitely
host.
get into
They don't
that, and
host.
That's what kind
We
of.
can talk about that.
Yeah.
But I think this is great. I mean, but this is the success of something like this is very dependent on who shows up. And so
And not
now
every
that the
candidate
numbers are
has shown up,
shifting,
yeah.
and we have new front runners. I mean, Pete Buttigieg, like, as the only openly gay candidate on the slate, should definitely show up.
Right.
Now they have Booker's going, Buttigieg, Harris, Warren,
Okay.
Yang. They have like 7 or 8 confirmed.
Where's Biden at?
Look.
Is he coming?
I
That's just a question,
think he
though.
is. I think he is. I can't confirm it. I know Sanders is not because he said he had an engagement, ironically, at a barbershop in an HBCU. I don't know which one. I can't like add them.
Well, yeah, and I mean, these candidates have their priorities, and the LGBTQ agenda is not at the top
Right,
of
which
any
is
of
a
these.
problem. Which is a big
That nor
problem.
the black community, but we'll talk about that later.
All right, so now we're gonna get into what we
big
call the big
facts,
facts.
big facts.
Show of hands, did anyone watch the Democratic debate last week? Carlton, did you? No?
You didn't miss
Fine.
much.
I'm like
Fine.
mom back there. I kind of watched it, kind of just a little
All right, so we're gonna get into this is like the big thing that everybody's talking about. So the latest NBC News poll that came out this week had Biden 31%, Warren 25%, Sanders 14%, Buttigieg 7%, Harris 5%.
Anybody have any like strong reactions to that? Anybody who they
I think that's pretty much right, but I think, especially with the recent polls or whatever, that's how it's gonna play out. Biden is a front runner. We know he's a front runner. We just don't want him to be. Warren, she has these
You
great
speaking
ideas.
for everybody?
Biden?
This,
How y'all-
listen, I'm
No, can't
this,
cancel.
this is my
No.
opinion. This is how I
Period.
think the general population is thinking. Biden is the front runner. We just don't like him. Warren, she has great ideas. She's just a woman. I'm sorry to say this, but America is
That affects.
look. America don't want that to happen. Like, come on. Like, let's be realistic about it. Bernie, he's too out there. He's not gonna work. So again, we're stuck with Biden.
You're making real sweeping assumptions though here, because you have to remember, like, these are candidates who have been in the race for a while.
Right.
And so when you say like we don't want Biden, our parents do.
That
Like,
right,
those
right,
are the people
right.
who are writing the checks,
Right.
and those are the people who are showing up to the polls more often than not.
Yeah.
And also when you like saying things like, the Democratic Party doesn't care about the black vote, I wouldn't be so sure. I was having a conversation today about this because the fact of the matter is candidates know, and this is what I wrote about last week or 2 weeks ago, that they will not win without a majority of black
Right.
support.
Right.
Now, how they're going about getting black support is where we might be able to argue and have
Okay,
a different
okay,
debate.
okay.
But I think that finally we've established that really it happened in 2018 and a little bit in 2017 where, was it 2017 when black women just like showed up and showed out for Doug
Every
Jones?
single time.
Yeah,
Every single
that was
time.
when the Democratic Party was finally like, okay, we
Right.
need to definitely pay attention. I mean, it was maybe even before that, but we're finally seeing like, money behind this idea of black voters that need to be poured into. Like these
Which
candidates.
is historically not a thing
Yeah.
that people don't want to talk about.
And that was the one good thing I think that came out of last week's debate, and the fact that it was on a historically black campus only for the second time in history. We were seeing phrases like institutional racism and America has a white supremacy problem. Now, again, we can have a conversation about what these candidates actually plan to do about these, like behind these statements. But for me, someone who's very new to the game, just got into covering campaigns straight out of a Howard education, so
Right,
like
right.
already fired up. Like I wish somebody would say something.
Look, and that's where
but
I'm coming from.
it's great now to
Baby
music to
steps,
my
baby
ears
steps.
to hear someone like Pete Buttigieg say America has a white supremacy. People like Joe Biden, who used to work with avowed white supremacists, literally saying America has a white supremacy problem. Step one is admitting that issue.
Okay, I guess I get into this thing of where I'm like, are they doing this for show or are they doing this for real? Because like when Biden answered that question about how his stance changed on like busing and segregation and all of that, he kind of shifted. He didn't say much. It was like, it was issues.
Well, the thing is,
I'm aware of those issues.
right, and
We
they're
can-
doing it for show. But when the pan gets hot and the field narrows even further, and we get down to the last 2 or 3 candidates, we're gonna have to see, okay, well, what are you really working with?
I can agree with you.
And how are you going to demonstrate to me now that the pressure is on? How are you going to demonstrate to me, a black voter, choosing between you and somebody else, one other person, what you can do for me? But the main goal right now, also, like, we gotta get Trump out of office. That's what Democrats are saying.
Right, and that's where I get like.
That's where you've struggled since.
Yes,
like,
because Trump got to get out of the office. Whoever on their primary ticket, we voting for him, whatever. But I also struggle with, like, I openly admit I did not vote in 2016, and I take that as a personal thing that I'm trying to actively fix. So with fixing that issue, a reason I didn't vote because it's like I don't relate to Hillary enough, and Trump has I don't care. He not benefit me. I don't care. Like, it was like throw my hands up, and a lot of people, a lot of my peers are gonna or would do the same things.
And I think that
in this next election. So with knowing that, I guess I question who's gonna be that candidate that speak to me and my peers and get us out to vote.
And then I think that goes to one of the questions that we have, and I want to get everyone else's take on it. Do you feel like the candidates have actually have reached out to you on your level, or do you think that they've engaged you in a smart way, or have engaged you at all?
And I think another important question to piggyback off of that, are you engaged with the candidates right now? Because we are 13 months out. It is so early, and there's this weird this weird dynamic happening right now where people are really being shamed into getting active, politically active.
That is true.
And it's a life or death situation for the United States, so I mean it makes sense that people are really pushing others to get engaged and informed, but you don't necessarily, I won't say you don't have to, just don't feel bad for not knowing everything, I think, at this stage.
That is
but you pose an important question also.
So do y'all feel like y'all have been do you think candidates have been speaking to your issues, or no?
I would say that they have a little bit, especially those plans with Elizabeth Warren with tuition, getting rid of student loans. That speaks a lot to college level.
All of us,
right?
All have significant amount of loans.
I think coming in from that angle, that's kind of a start to get our attention.
Because I would say that to me is the most interesting thing. It's how, and like you said, it's kind of it matters, but we have a lot of time.
Yeah, just
but
keep
it's
in
the kind
mind,
of thing. And I remember today, can I drop a life flex? I had a meeting, and the chairman of the DNC was there. So he was basically saying that, and I kind of took it with a grain of salt, but he was basically saying that, kids just can't show up at the AME church 4 weeks before and expect.
And that's what they're gonna do, and that's what irritates me, especially about a candidate like Biden. He has this attitude of this arrogance of I ain't got time for that. I'm gonna work on my own schedule, then I get to y'all when I get to y'all. No, bro, what? Pay attention.
But I think to what mine goes to, I think that's a generational thing at some point, because my mother, every time people come at Biden, she's like, yo.
That's my mom too.
Right,
and the people who make the decisions and write the checks are totally fine with Biden. I mean, he's not chilling. He was just in Alabama
I was talking to me and my boss got a tight relationship. We be talking. Anyway, so that's what I was explaining to her. The older, more conservative, blacks, they're with Biden.
I wouldn't even say it's more conservative. It's just
I think they are.
Yeah, they are.
Because
Biden is definitely neutral.
They're moderate.
He is not
moderate
neutral. Moderate?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll
Remember,
give it.
y'all-
We'll say moderate. Okay,
We're
moderate.
not gonna sit here and pretend black people are not the most socially
Conservative
conservative
people
bloc.
ever. Oh, I know this. I'm from the South. I
So
know
then
this.
you see how
I
Biden
know
appeals
this.
to that.
That's what I'm saying. I understand how he appeals to the older conservative blacks. Young millennials, you have a track record. That's why Kamala getting dragged. You have a track record. We're gonna hold you accountable.
Yeah.
You're not gonna come in here think you can. Oh, you wrote a crime bill? Nah, bro. We about to hold you accountable.
Okay, but I mean, Biden wrote the 94
I'm
crime
here.
bill.
I'm aware of
And
this.
Sanders signed it.
I am aware of this. And young millennials, I feel like young intellectually involved millennials, they're gonna pay attention to that and they're gonna hold these people accountable. That's what I'm saying. they can't wait till 4 weeks after the game and say, oh, hey y'all black people, we might give y'all reparations this time. No, that's not gonna work. Not for me.
It's not gonna work for any of us.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's why I make the point about it being so early, because you can't put all your cards on the table.
Right.
I mean, Harris just released her I will admit, very comprehensive criminal justice plan last week. It was a little late in the game because you see, I mean, she like took a nosedive in the polls. And I don't know. I mean, you just can't call it.
You can't, and that's what's like about it, because there's so many candidates. It's like information overload. There's so many candidates.
Yes.
Like, are you guys even engaged? Like, I know Tier. Like,
this time next year we're gonna be so tired.
Look, is anybody engaged? Like, can you name 3 candidates that you would consider voting for right now?
Carlton.
Look, we got some.
No.
Hold on.
What you gonna say?
So I'm like disengaged as somebody who has been in the United States for so many years, but recently just got her citizenship, and it'll be my first time voting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel very disengaged because I don't know, like you're speaking to. We're gonna hold you accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, it's like fear because I was in the background watching everything happen the last election.
And now you see like
now I feel accountable. Like, oh my God, I have to vote. And
Right.
Who am I even voting for?
Right, you don't even know.
Stephanie and I both grew up in Tallahassee, went to the same high school.
Shout out. Anybody else? Shay, I see you.
Crazy. What was the question again?
So do you have, one, can you name any candidates, or 2, do you feel like candidates are engaging you on any type of level?
So honestly, I haven't been paying attention just because I'm literally just like, there's so many people, same thing, that it's just so much to go into and so much to find out about each candidate that I just like, okay, I'm just gonna see what happens for a little while, and then I'll pick up later to see like what's been discovered.
Right.
We should do this show exactly a year from now
and see what happens.
Because it'll be like 3 weeks or less than that from. Oh no, it'll be like a month and a half from Election Day 2020.
Elizabeth Warren is seriously courting black women.
Oh yeah.
And I think she's gonna gain a lot because of that.
I saw like 5 people shake their heads, so they clearly must.
So y'all with Elizabeth Warren? That's what y'all saying? Yeah.
There's a lot of Warren fans. There's a lot of Warren fans.
I can get behind Warren. I think she's one of the only.
She's
candidates
consistent.
That she's very consistent, and she's put out like. She's not only addressed black women, but she's addressed. She got a
plan for that.
You're right. She got a plan for everything. Like she got a plan for everything.
Like HBCUs.
The only thing, again, I'm one of them black conservative Southern people, so I'm gonna say this, and y'all might cut my head off.
Okay.
But America is not ready for a woman president. That's the only reason I'm like, I'm sorry.
Are we ready for an orange one though?
Look, okay, you got to think about.
But the orange one was gearing his audience towards races, and there's a ton of racist
people. Think about
people.
the power structure in America.
How much of you basing this?
Again,
how much of you basing this off of just Hillary Clinton?
I'm basing this off of Hillary Clinton and my own personal experiences.
Hillary Clinton's not a normal.
Okay, but I'm gonna make this point.
I think she's more respectable than Warren.
I'm gonna make this point because I think that this is just a commentary on like the way that we think as members of a democracy, and just as people in this really like weird position right now. We're never ready for something until it happens.
Exactly.
In 2008, we weren't ready for a black president.
You're right.
And then we saw a black senator start to do his thing and move up in states like Iowa and key states like New Hampshire, and then we decided we were ready.
Right.
Even with policies, we say that we're not ready for things, and then these things like we were, 50, 60 years ago, and the idea of Social Security, literally giving people money after they have retired. What that was such a crazy idea.
Right.
And now people can't live without it.
Right.
Universal health care is something that we feel like we're not ready for. But as soon as it happens, people's lives will change and be saved.
You're right.
And so I have to apply that same logic to a woman who is thinking, who has plans, and who will put a team together of men and women who will be a lot more capable than this current administration.
I agree with you 100%. I'm not look.
But also, don't forget that Clinton did.
How a country that voted for a black man before they voted for a white woman? Come on now. It says it right there. They're not ready.
It's the patriarchy, brothers.
There you go. Like, again, they're saying it with the abortion. 8 laws just passed this abortion thing. And that's screaming, we're not ready for a woman president. Like, come on.
We just gonna have to disagree. We just gonna disagree on that,
brother. You need to rephrase that. Who is we? Who's not ready for?
Oh no! I would prefer a black female leading America. That's just Henry.
Yes.
But white Americans, if we gonna call it a spade,
when we define not ready, what does that also mean?
White supremacy means that's it.
There you go. Who just said it?
But that's not quite an answer, I don't think, to us being not ready. Like, meaning if she gets the nomination, we won't vote for her in the same way that, and still Clinton got the popular vote, as Noah said.
That's what I was about to say. Noah just said it. Clinton got the popular vote. So it's not like we're not ready, we're not willing.
If a technicality didn't happen, I'm like, if the Electoral College wasn't a thing.
Okay, but the Electoral College is a thing. So with that being a thing, and we know who controls those votes, you know what I'm saying? Like, we broadcast this. I'm trying to get a job, so look, point is, we know these people who are controlling these systems, so why are we playing like naive to it?
Okay.
We know what the Electoral College is.
I just want us to remember, yes, that's very true. I just, at the same time that
you're being hopeful and optimistic,
I was going to say,
and I love that. I'm just being a realistic person, and I'm like, nah,
I'm being a realistic optimist, and I'll counter that point by saying that we live in a democracy and that we vote and we control what's going to happen next.
And 8 states just told you can't have an abortion, and they're steady killing me because I don't choose to have black skin because I have black skin. It's America.
All right, I'll play moderator. Moving on. I'll play moderator before we go off the rails. Quick show of hands or grunts or applause or anything. How are y'all feeling about the candidacy of Kamala Harris?
Kamala. Get her name right.
I thought it technically pronounced Kamala, but
it's Kamala.
Kamala.
I've heard her say Kamala.
Kamala. She said it on Good Morning America.
So that means it's true.
Anyway, how y'all feel about her? Cause like she's a Howard alum. She's somebody told me, and this is what I think it is. You told me this. She got this attitude, like this attitude about her that people. Wait, what are you?
I just said sometimes.
Did you just say a black woman look like she got an attitude, Henry?
That's what I was.
That's why people don't like.
Really, girl?
I'm not saying this from my personal perspective. I'm saying this based on my Twitter timeline and people ridiculing her and all of that. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's where I'm coming from. I like Kamala. She fat. You know what I'm saying? That's Kamala.
Stop. You're gonna drive us off a cliff, everybody. What I just think mainly I was saying because from the standpoint of that she was at 13%,
right,
and now she fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
And I think that for some reason either it's a campaign strategy, but I mean we were talking about it. Like I think the same thing with Clinton. I think they are both very, very smart. I think if you listed achievements and accomplishments for anybody, but I think part of the job of running for president is not just saying like, here's my leadership skills, here's like what I can do. It's often like running for president, Trump, is different than actually like being president. And I think the act of actually like running for president and doing, you're on the stump, you have to do this. And I just think Kamala's just a really smart person, and that doesn't all like Bernie. I think he's really good at running for president because it's a revolution and we're gonna do this and we're gonna do this. But I think that for Kamala it's just different because I just think she's just like, I'm kind of above this stuff in some point. And I think it comes off like that. And I think that gets to a little bit of her and her campaign.
I think she's actually very presidential too.
That I do too. She carries herself, even in debates where she, like the first debate where she had to say, "Hi guys, let's get it together." Yeah. You know, even in moments like that, like she's very presidential. It's just that
I just think it's interesting because I think it gets into the cycle.
Guys, but it's, you know what I'm saying? It's like us as black people, we hope it's. Black people, let's be real. We hold ourselves to the highest standard. So with Kamala, knowing that she was a prosecutor, oh, you lock black people up, boom, that's one. Oh, you're a light skin.
That's well now. Okay.
You know, it's common. Like it's these subliminal.
I think it's her criminal justice record that's really gotten her.
And she's never given a
especially with
great
young
answer
black
on it.
people.
She's never given a great answer on it.
She don't smile a lot, like naturally. So it's like it's this attitude and composure that she has that it communicates.
And knowing people who work, I just think she is a very smart person who had to work very hard.
Yeah.
Shout out to the black women here. You don't know how to be a
I grew
senator.
up with a single black mom. Like I know the struggle of growing up in.
I'm not saying that.
You know what? What do you say?
I'm saying that to be a black woman in power, you often have to do certain things and carry yourself a different way.
I agree.
Man.
I
agree.
think that than anybody.
Right, and I think that doesn't translate to what we see as campaigning and like she's doing this or she's like putting on this president. Like it's just different. I just think campaigning and actually like doing your
Harris
job
2024 has like a lovely ring to it.
Maybe,
no,
she ain't running again, but
because and she's just been dealt like. She's had a really rough go of it, and the reason why I say that is because we can't discount the fact that she was San Francisco, California at one point's top cop, and that some of her policies that were like way too aggressive when it came to, I mean, you know, trying to like threaten parents with jail for getting their kids to school late. Like these are the things that people who are opposed to Harris are bringing up and saying like, okay, what are you going to do when it comes to foreign policy and someone is like acting up on the international stage? Are you going to react so aggressively? Because that's scary to me, not only as a black person, but as an American now. But I mean, like, the woman is super smart.
She's super
and
smart.
she can hold her own on a debate stage, which is what the Democratic Party is super thirsty for, going into the final stages when they need someone to really, you know, bury Trump. And it's just, but it's so hard because she hasn't been able to really capture the black vote. And I will also say this, and this is something that I have only gotten just from reporting, only from talking with other people and other black potential voters, there is a tension around the fact that she has married a white man. And I thought that we were past that.
Oh no,
but
not us.
I'm not saying that it's gotten in the way of people's ability to vote for her, but there is, people have mentioned that to me as a reporter, that they feel that that's something that they thought about.
I suck my teeth when her husband stood up at commencement.
I think we have to.
We gotta move past that.
Ask your question.
So we can all at this table at least agree that Biden is probably gonna get the primary, right? No. So who do you think would get the primary?
And that's a better question.
It's way too
like
early.
who do you think is gonna get the primary?
Better question. If the election were today, who would be your top candidate? Good answer.
Alright, I'll take that. We can move on.
You ain't say nothing. Alright, fine. Alright, so now we're gonna go to Heads Up. We're just gonna talk about stuff that has been happening recently in the news and just kind of keep it pushing. Alright, so some Kavanaugh allegations with the Supreme Court Justice, the most recent one. The New York Times initially reported, and I think as a reporter I want to get your thoughts since they reported it and then kind of either messed it up or they didn't do their job. And I think how should we react to kind of like confusing reports? And Ayanna Pressley, a black woman from Massachusetts, she filed a resolution to basically try to impeach him. So I just think there's a lot of stuff going on in this space that I think kind of gets away from what initially is this about.
Like the initial thing is, the initial
him being accused
idea
of
is
sexual assault.
it's a question, I think, more,
And then it gets
which
into
is
how we
if
report
someone has been accused of sexually assaulting someone, are they fit to serve on the highest court in the land? And we asked the same question. I mean, all of us were babies or not even born yet when Clarence Thomas and Anita Hill went through the same thing. And the answer then was yes. And the answer now is yes. And then what happened here was this weird, like, I don't know, the media is so, every newsroom and every like newspaper has an organization, has its own attitude and its own like brand. And the New York Times is just very traditional. I think some of that tradition and following everything kind of got in their way with this Kavanaugh stuff. They just have to recalibrate.
So what is the thing? Is it a true accusation or not? Because
yeah, I don't even know.
No, but
Okay.
if you and
because like I tried to get into it, and basically from what I got is like somebody at a party said they'd seen him with his thing out.
I mean, I just think it gets to the general thing of most sexual assaults are between, it's in private, most people don't report it, so they're trying to uncover stuff that might have happened a long time ago.
But my thing goes back to what you're saying, like Clarence Thomas, the answer is yes. Kavanaugh, the answer is yes. Why is it when someone is accused of these accusations, they're not being held accountable, especially men in power?
Because other men are in power to make sure that they get what they need. Getting back to the 2020 conversation, we can recall from history that the one person, well not the one, I won't put that all on him, but a very prominent voice in support of Clarence Thomas and against Anita Hill was Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And that was hushed down very efficiently. I don't know if it will come back up as he continues to, remain in popularity. But me, taking my reporter hat off for a moment and just stepping into like a woman's place and looking at how these dynamics operate, it just looks a lot like this is still a very male-dominated space, the American government, and we would like to maintain that level of power, and so for
so
that
you do
we have
agree
to
with
defend.
the fact that a woman isn't ready, where they're not
How
ready?
you doing? All right.
No, that's not what I'm saying. This is apples and oranges, Henry. Don't do that.
I get you. You're right. I try to prove my point. That's it.
So now we're gonna just some stuff that's happened recently with the hurricane in the Bahamas. Last week, the Trump administration, they refused to grant temporary protected status to people who were trying to leave the island. I think this goes to like Henry's point of like Trump is doing what he said he would do, because he basically said, "Oh, the Bahamas, they have gang members, and they have all these people."
That's
trying
a
to come
whole
over.
country. That's what he said.
So I just wanted to flag that, and that should be a conversation that should be focused by presidential candidates and people in Congress. That's actually huge. And last thing we have before anyone else wants to say anything, shout out to my DC people. Tomorrow, just so y'all know, they have something called the Million Mo March on the National Mall.
I love to see it.
Yeah, so
lately.
Yeah, we
this,
really
so this,
this year.
right.
Yeah.
So the Million Mo March, this rally will be held on the National Mall tomorrow, Thursday. So that's going to be in support of DC culture, statehood, gentrification, and gun violence. You can basically catch your favorite go-go band, catch some people dancing, all in the spirit of making DC a better place.
Is there another Coachella on Friday?
Yes, there is. There's also Mochella on Friday.
The
So,
Million Mo.
Million Mo March, classic. Savannah, Asha, hey, there it is.
I love to see it.
And ruined sardines and pork and beans. There you go.
Okay.
This is very Mo attire.
So that's it for us.
So
I
yeah,
wanted
I think
to
we're gonna wrap it
first
up.
off, I wanted to thank Maya for being the only
thank
person.
you.
And we wanted to
Thank our live
all of
audience.
you. Give yourselves a round of applause. We
Give
appreciate
you a round of
it.
applause. We appreciate y'all.
And thank you, Jiton. Thank you. Oh, she can't hear me. Jiton.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you all for coming. And
Make
we
sure
really
you follow us
Yeah.
on Instagram at What's Really Going. Follow us on Twitter _WRGO. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe on Spotify. Subscribe on SoundCloud.
You can follow me
Oh,
too
yeah,
on
do.
Twitter, Maya A. King. Very easy. MAYA A. King.
All right, so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate y'all.